Hi everyone, it's Angela from Cake Angel, and today I'm going to show you how to make French macarons using the stand mixer Macaronage method. So today we're going to be using our 5 ingredients. We have our 100 grams of icing sugar, 100 grams of almond flour, 80 grams of egg white, 80 grams of caster sugar, and also some giallo for flavouring. So first we're going to sift our dry ingredients. And the reason why we like to do this is because often when you have almond flour, you can still have some of the shells from the almond in the mix. So we just want to make sure that all of that is removed before we start making our batter. We're also going to add our icing sugar and give that a stir together so it's nice and combined. And then next I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of orange jello powder. This is just for flavouring, and also it will add a nice colour to our macaron shells. And give that a stir together. Okay, so now we're ready to start making our macaron batter, and I'm using a stand mixer for this. So I'm going to start by adding my 80 grams of egg white. I'm adding my 80 grams of sugar. And then I'm going to use my whisk attachment on my stand mixer and get that mixing for 5 minutes at a medium speed, which is around a 6 on this particular machine. And you'll notice as it mixes, the volume will actually increase. It starts to get foamy initially, and then it starts to become more white. Again, we're mixing on a medium speed currently, and then after our 5 minutes, we'll actually turn the mixer up a little bit higher to around an 8. And keep mixing for a further few minutes until we get a really nice stiff peak consistency. And while this is mixing, it's just important to mention that you want to make sure that all of the utensils you use during this process are free from grease. So give everything a good clean with white vinegar before you start to make sure that there's no grease residue left, particularly in your mixing bowl and your whisk attachment. And you can see that that is coming along nicely. It's nice and white. We're actually looking for the sheen to actually go. You can see it looks quite dull now, it's lost that shine, and we have perfect stiff peaks. So next we're going to start adding in our dry ingredients, and I like to do this in stages so that we don't overload the meringue. And I'm just going to use the stir speed on this mixer. So if you don't have a KitchenAid, that would be the lowest speed that you have. You will notice as it starts to stir that it doesn't pick up everything, and you will still have some parts with lots of the dry ingredients showing, as you can see there. And we're not too worried about that at the moment. What we're going to do is scrape off our whisk attachment. And we're going to add in more of our dry ingredients and do the same process again. So again, we're stirring, we're using the lowest setting on the bowl. And we're adding in the rest of our dry ingredients. We're going to give that another stir just to make sure everything is nice and combined. And this is the important stage. So this is where we're almost ready to do our macaronage. We're going to scrape down the whisk again to make sure that everything is clean, it's nice and combined. Give it a little bit of a scrape down as well to make sure that you're not missing anything. And now we're ready to start the macaronage. So for this, again, we're staying on our stir speed. So that's the lowest speed that you have for your stand mixer. We're going to mix this for about 30 seconds and then we're going to check it. And we're looking for that ribbon lava stage where the batter will actually start to flow. So you see it's not quite there. It is still a little bit thick. It is dropping off of the whisk, but we just want to give it another little stir to make sure that it's ready for us to pipe. So one final stir. And the key here is to not overmix. If you add too much air into your batter, your macarons will actually not rise properly. And there you can see we have really nice ribbon lava consistency. And that's our macaronage stage finished. You can see that the mixture is flowing really nicely from the attachment. It's not too runny, so that's going to give us the perfect consistency so that we're ready to pipe our shells. Okay, so now we're ready to start piping our macaron shells. For this, I'm using a bag with a tip 12 inside. I've got my bag in a little mason jar so that it's easier for me to fill the bag without getting the batter everywhere. And I'm using the side of the bag to clean off my spatula each time I'm adding more to the bag. And you can see as I'm adding this that the mixture is fairly loose, but it's at the right consistency that we need for piping. Make sure you don't overfill your bag too much either. You want to make sure that there's just enough in there to fill the bag about a little over halfway. And we're going to get that bag closed up. Now I'm going to be baking my macarons on an air bake tray, which is a double layer baking sheet. And then I'm also using a silicone mat that has the macaron size templates already on it for me as a guide. And there's our tip 12. You can see that it does start to run out fairly quickly on its own. So you just want to start piping straight away. Hold that piping tip above the surface, keeping it still as you press. And then your batter will come out, and give it a little swirl at the end just to clean off the top. And you'll notice as I continue piping that the first lot of shells that I piped has started to relax a little bit, which just means that they're spreading a little bit and the mixture isn't too runny, so they're staying exactly where we want them to. Final stage then is to give your tray a good wrap on the counter to remove any air bubbles. And then we're going to let that sit and dry for about 30 minutes until it forms a nice firm crust. Next, we're going to bake for 20 minutes at 300 degrees. So this is what the shells look like at about the 10-minute mark. And then once they're done, we're just going to leave them on the trays until they're completely cooled. And this is what the underside looks like. So now it's time for us to add our filling. And as I mentioned at the beginning, these are orange macaron shells using the Jello powder. So I'm filling these with a nice chocolate buttercream. I'm using a tip 21 in my bag just to give a nice design to our filling as well. And you could use anything for the filling. You could use curd, you could use jams, buttercream, ganache. And it's also nice if you wanted to put some fruit in the center as well. Just make sure that you put enough filling in there so that it can help your macarons mature, and also so it makes them a little bit chewy as well. So we'll just go ahead and get the rest of them filled. And also I should mention, if you wanted to colour your macarons, you can actually add the colour in at the stage where you start adding your dry ingredients. And let's get that last shell finished off. Okay, so now we're going to start adding the tops. You just want to carefully place them on top. You can give them a very slight press down as well, but you don't want to squish out all of that lovely buttercream that we've just put in. Okay, so there we go. We have nice full looking macarons with plenty of lovely filling inside as well. We've got nice feet on them as well, which means that they rose perfectly. And there you go, there's our macarons all nicely finished. Hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and let me know in the comments below if you try out this method for the macaronage. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and see what other videos I have. Thanks for watching.